There we go. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you perfectly. Great.
Brilliant. So who's Ben and who's James?
I'm impressed.
I'm Ben. Hey.
Hi, nice to meet you.
I'm James.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Doing?
How's it going?
Great.
Where are you calling us from?
From North London, from Finchley.
Oh, no way! I live in Highbury, so that's cool. But I'm not in Highbury right now. I'm in Pinewood Studios.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah.
Is that where you're based?
In your
this is our office. This is our very snazzy. That's Claire.
Hi, Jay.
This is Lauren.
Yeah, I'll just make you big, James.
Currently in one of 3 offices we have here. We've got another office next door that's currently doing interviews.
Show us again, James. You were a third before. Now you're the whole screen.
Oh, okay, perfect. So here we go. So there's Claire.
Slow. Yeah, there you go.
That's Claire Richardson, just there. And over here is Lauren. Hi.
How's it going?
We're currently doing interviews through that door there. That door is interviews. And then and I currently have white hands because oh no, you can't actually tell, but I've got paint all over my hands because
been painted.
we were putting up the HTC Vive and I decided to use No More Nails, and No More Nails doesn't work. So now I've had to paint the wall in our new cinema space, which is annoying, but there we go.
Seriously?
Yeah, it's fine.
Well,
it's fine. It's just like a little rectangle like this that's just ripped off. From the base station. The base station works, thank God, but it did fall from like a 7-foot height, which is a bit scary. There we go.
Oh shoot.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good.
It's all good. Good Christmas.
So thanks.
Yeah,
very good Christmas. Very nice.
Very good. Very good. Very nice.
So thanks for joining us, Jay.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's a pleasure. Yeah, I just want to start by saying thank you guys for letting us screen at Liftoff. It was a real pleasure to screen it. It's a lovely venue that you guys chose, and it was a really good reception. So
no problem.
Great,
very exciting.
Looking forward to the season awards. Are you coming, by the way?
We can't, unfortunately, because we're in LA. We're heading off, but our lead actor will be there.
Okay, great.
Yeah, so he'll be there.
He's also
make sure he brings an entourage with him. I was really impressed with his performance.
Yeah, I'll try and get as many people who are around to the awards.
Perfect.
No, it's a very exciting time.
Yeah, well, they're all away now at the moment with the all the films are out there in this stratosphere with our judges and stuff, and we're getting the feedback as we're coming through. So it's exciting times.
It's exciting times, yeah. Countdown.
Yeah. The countdown
now.
Yeah, countdown now. Literally.
So Che, do you want to give us a bit of a background on the film and what's your? I know we're talking about distribution today, but it'll be good to get a bit of a run up to it.
Yeah, sure. So, oh God, where do I start? So basically, there's a bunch of us who went to film school together. We graduated from the Met in 2013, and we've been out in the industry, kind of doing corporate work and short films. And 2 of us, who are the writer, directors, producers, decided that we really wanted to do a feature film. Luckily, our DP, who we went to film school with, also he just bought himself an RE Mini. So we're like, great, that's going to be very
nice,
very cost effective in making this film. And it was really a passion project. So we started off by kickstarting the whole thing, raised some money that way, and then we self-funded the rest of it. And the process was actually relatively smooth for the first part. We spent about 6 months to a year writing the script, spent about 2 months shooting it, and then we spent 2.5 years editing it. Because as you know, it's a mockumentary, so we had a lot of footage. We had about 8 hours of footage. We had to get it down to an hour and 20 minutes.
Oh wow.
We finished that this year. We eventually kind of realized that we needed to get a professional editor in. Got him in. He really kind of coalesced the whole film together. We took it off his hands, kind of just tweaked it a little bit, and into the stratosphere, and kind of sent it out to all the film festivals. And it's been doing amazingly well so far. It's pretty much won at every film festival it's been to so far, which is crazy. I think we're up to like 25 awards. And it's just, what was really interesting is I had a strategy. I was dealing mostly with getting into the festivals, and my strategy was to do a two-part thing of having it kind of in festivals here and in America. To see if it would do well in America, and it seemed to do really well. It got into some pretty big festivals there, and people seem to love it. So yeah, the last kind of piece in this puzzle is to get it out and get it out and seen by the general public. So I mean, that's where I'm at the moment.
Okay.
So that seems to be the hardest thing. The ground roots kind of following of this film has been really it's just tough trying to find the right distribution deals and trying to find the right kind of process. We do have a producer who's taken it on kind of at the last stages. She wasn't there during production, but she was there during post-production, and she's really been kind of seeing what there is out there.
So specifically with the distribution side of things, like who have you been talking to, and what's been the process or the strategy so far?
Yeah, and I have a conversation. I have a quick question to layer on top of that as well. Sorry to bombard you with the two conversations. But what have been your expectations for this?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. That's a very interesting one.
Your dream scenario that's based on reality. What do you think? What do you think would be the best solution for this film? And then what have you spoken about to the other people and stuff? And who have you spoken
Absolutely fair enough. The dream scenario would obviously be a theatrical release, both here in America. Now, I don't know how practical that is. I know that it's really 1 in a million with these type of films to get out there into like a theater. So the more practical would be either a very limited release in the UK or to go on to VOD. So Netflix, Amazon Prime. When we started this process, Amazon Prime and Netflix weren't really the platforms that you wanted to get onto. It's really changed in the last 2 years since we've been making this film. So it's gone from, they were the last bestials of a film that's done the rounds in the film festivals and then has gone on to do VOD. Now that VOD is so big, potentially it could even be the first port of call. So with that in mind, our producer has been speaking to, she went to the AFM. It's one of the big things she did, and she's been speaking to the likes of BBC Worldwide, Greta's Ventures, a couple of other ones. She's keeping it very close to her chest. I think she's waiting to hear results. One of the big things I should just quickly mention is while we were in America, an American production company called Discount Sushi, they saw the film and they were very interested and still are very interested in turning it into a TV show. So with that in mind, and also we've been in talks with Big Talk about potentially turning it into a TV show. So off the back of that, we're a bit kind of pulled in loads of different directions. We understand that this is a very small film, very indie film that potentially is starting to find its audience. Whether that can continue, I hope it can. If not, then obviously it's done what it needed to do in the idea that it could be turned into this TV show, which obviously would have legs and continue this story that we have with Alex. For me personally, I would really like to see some sort of theatrical release, but like I said, I don't know how feasible that is in the ever-changing market that there is out there. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah.
To give you an idea about the kind of experience that we've had with theatrical distribution so far to date, we had a film that was reviewed by Mark Commode and was also reviewed in The Guardian, was given 4 stars. It found its way into cinemas through a scheme called Ourscreen. Have you heard of Ourscreen?
Yeah.
I have, yes, yeah.
Yeah, so Ourscreen is a kind of like a pay-as-you-go screening thing. They set up a certain amount of tickets that need to be sold, and then that film will get onto it. getting it onto that was a huge struggle. And this was a film that got 4 stars in The Guardian, had very, 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 very like hard hitting themes, important themes, and was also reviewed by Mark Kermode, which for the UK like that ticks a hell of a lot of boxes, as you can probably imagine. Yet it still didn't get. It still
had a radio for. It had lots of press. Had radio for interview, and it had a large audience behind it.
And I noticed that it was going straight up. And it could not find. I think the closest it got to anything was a meeting with Curzon Artificial Eye, but I believe their feedback, and I might be wrong, but I believe their feedback was something along the lines of like, why didn't we come in at this at the very beginning and build it from there? So the biggest hurdle, I think, and just by assessing the market from a theatrical release perspective, is that you need pre-sales from a theatrical distributor before you can even begin to get on their radar. And if you are dead set on getting a theatrical release, then you should try and look at Ourscreen. But even then, the earning potential from that and the potential of getting the actual screenings it needs to be outweighed with self-marketing. So you need to be putting like £1,000 behind Facebook every month to try and get your Ourscreen tickets sold. And then when that happens, the Ourscreenings will bring in something like maybe £300. Right. A lot less than that per screening. So it's a really tricky situation. That's kind of the narrative for UK theatrical release right now.
But having said that, it could potentially, if you're dead set on it, it could potentially be an interesting option to add alongside an online release or a VOD release, because you can do Ourscreen and you can do Netflix and you can do the Amazon Primes and you can do all of the digital stuff at the same time. So, and you're in control of everything as well. So you're basically distributing it yourself, but that gives you a lot of power because you're able to build the audiences yourself through social media marketing, as James is talking about, and you're able to see the best time to do everything, right? So you can before you even release it, you can start building audiences, and much like you must have done with your you did a crowdfunding campaign, right?
Yeah.
So and you've probably started to generate audiences through that. So what does that look like at the moment?
And the thing is, it was a lot of, as I think a lot of Kickstarters are, a lot of family and friends that were involved. I would say 80% was family and friends. Outside of that, yes, there's been a lot of groundswell within the social media side, but mostly, like I said, it seems to be catching at friends or friends and friends, if that makes sense. Our social media side is probably not the strongest, and I know that's one of the weak points, especially for an indie film. Being more of the creator side when it comes to the filmmaking as opposed to the social media side, that's I would say is probably our weakest point, and we could probably work or get a better strategy to really kind of push it out a little bit more, I think.
The thing with social media, sorry to interrupt, the thing with social media is that the landscape has kind of changed. It's no longer the case that you can just create an organic social media campaign. I mean, it does happen still, but what social media is really powerful for now is actual marketing. So it's actually spending money to get people interested. So that's in the form of like competitions or landing pages with videos on, and it kind of ties into your themes quite nicely, because you could create, I mean, I'm just spitballing here, but you could create a landing page that has like a personality test, and then it goes into the themes of the film, and then you start to engage an audience like that through a carefully planned campaign, and just build audiences. But you do need a marketing spend, and you do need a clear strategy. And if you're going to do this, it's a lot of work for one. And but you will be able. I think this route, unless you have a sales agent on board that has got a different idea for a theatrical release, this route is an interesting route because you could build Ourscreen audiences in certain areas. You could build, and then you can release it on Amazon Prime and all of those. Have you heard of Distributor?
Yes, I have. Yeah.
So they're very good. They're very good at getting you onto everything. Literally onto everything. I think there's an upfront cost to Distributor. They charge their fee up front, and then after that, I think it's just basically you take everything that you need. But they're an arbiter. They're an arbiter for iTunes, and is it an arbiter? Is that the right word? Not arbiter. You would be the arbiter. It would be. There's a word called, I can't think of it from the top of my head, where they add you onto iTunes, and they also do all sorts of different things as well. But
I guess they'd be they would be your agent, I guess.
Sort of. Yeah,
kind of.
It's I would say this as a warning. Unless you've got a real strong indication for potential sales, there's not going to be that much enthusiasm from sales agents, especially at places like AFM, where the sales agents go to AFM to sell their current catalog. They're not there to meet filmmakers to buy films. That's a real shame to say it. The sales agents would never admit it, but it is definitely something that is a reality. And it's the same for the Marché de Film at Cannes. It's the same thing. They're there trying to sell their own work.
Yeah.
Excuse me. The best way to approach a sales agent outside of the classic going to them first with a conceptual idea and then trying to get pre-sales would be to show them your work already on a digital platform doing well.
Right.
Because a sales agent, it's the same as an actor's agent or a director's agent. They only want to get people that are currently proving the pudding. It's like Dragon's Den when someone's trying to sell a product. If they're like, well, how many units have you sold? If they say, oh, currently 0, then they're like, well, I'm not interested. But if they say, oh, we're in Waterstones, we're in foils, we're in blah 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 blah, we're in blah 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 blah, then automatically the interest is spiked, and that's how it goes. So definitely from a VOD perspective, self-distribution is definitely key if you don't have these players in place, or else you've got very expensive situations where producers are going on behalf of you to film markets and not necessarily coming up with the kind of news stories that you want based around your film. It's a real tough industry to crack, as you probably know. But if you flip it on its head and you make it about this, it's going to be so much easier for you to sell it as a film to sales agents, show it as a proof of concept for a TV show, anything like that. Because once it's already out and it's already generating interest, you can say, look, it's got 65,000 views. People are really enjoying it. Where should we go with this? Using examples like High Maintenance on Vimeo on demand. Another example would be The Gay and Wondrous Life of Caleb Gallo on YouTube. Even Baz Luhrmann's Romeo and Juliet proof of concept that he did with Leonardo DiCaprio, granted, but he still did the proof of concept. Just getting it out there and being able to see the audience thing, it's not going to prevent it from having legs later on. Because like the story of Anvil, for example, that documentary that was made about that rock band, it can live somewhere and then it can be taken on by a distributor, and then it can grow and move on.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I think What the Bleep Do We Know started off like that. I think What the Bleep Do We Know was on a web page and was consumed by people. They had to download it first. I think it used to take something like 17 hours to download, and then people could watch it, and it went viral. Everybody knew about it. And then all of a sudden, it's getting an actual release, and it's like on Blu-ray now, and it's like people can buy it on Amazon, and it's available. But it had to be. It started off by being in this position that we're talking about now, which is like actually getting it onto something, and pushing it through there. Just by looking at your film, I would say the best, and by listening to what you've said about the difficulties that you've got with regards to getting the social media marketing out there and stuff. A really good platform would be Vimeo on demand, because it's very out the box. You create your artwork, it links up to your artwork, it looks really good, it sits nicely. There's already an audience on Vimeo on demand. They take a pretty high percentage, but it's still very good for pointing Facebook ads to it, for pointing Twitter feeds to it, to doing different things, and you can generate audience quite quickly that way. And then obviously you can send it out to with discount codes. You can send it out to all the sales agents, and you can say it's on Vimeo at the moment. We think it's got legs. What do you think of this? What do you think of that? What do you think of this? And it will do quite well that way. And if a sales agent says, "Oh, you've already released it online," that's a problem for us. If they say that, then they're not the right sales agent for you, because it's just an excuse. If they see,
well, it's not. Some people prefer to manage the entire release. Yeah, no, but some people want it fresh without any coverage, and just different people work different ways. But you said that you've been speaking to BBC Worldwide and Gratis Ventures. Who are Gratis Ventures? Are they a sales agent or a distributor?
I think they distribute towards VOD. I don't think they do. Okay. So they, as far as I'm aware, I'm not actually dealing with that side of it as much because of the producers doing that. So we're actually having a meeting at the end of this week. But separately from that, I really wanted, because you guys have done remarkably well with all the different, liftoff festivals across the world. I was really interested in your take on this. So just so I understand, you think it would be better to do to go straight to VOD than maybe even approach a sales agent directly, or is it still worth trying to get those meetings while we're in the States or even here?
Yeah, it's definitely worth it. It's definitely worth going for everything. I would speak to everybody and try and get either an excited yes or a quick no, but try and get those meetings as much as possible. The film took you 12 months to write, 2.5 years in post production. So I mean, there's no rush. You can get the film isn't going to age overnight or anything like that. So it's totally fine. Just try to be in a room where you are talking to a sales agent one-on-one, rather than a room where there's 25,000 other filmmakers all around you, all trying to speak to the same sales agent. That's never a good situation to be in. So face-to-face meetings in offices in the UK, over here in the UK, and also in America as well, are very good. Be careful of instant yeses, of straight away, yeah, we'll take it, definitely. Just always be like, okay, we're going to speak to a few other people first and see how it goes. There are certain sales agents that you will immediately recognize as ones that you don't necessarily want to be dealing with. But in order to recognize that, you need to meet them face to face, and that's important, I think.
Do you guys have any recommendations?
Yeah.
Yeah, go, James.
Whether or not they'll talk to you, it all depends on how big and how full at the moment their catalogs are. But I would suggest Indie Rights. They're really good. They're based in the center of Los Angeles, so downtown.
That's really interesting. They've actually contacted us, and they have actually sent us saying they were very interested in dealing with us. We weren't sure, to be honest, because they were a bit of a yes straight away.
Yeah, they do lots of online stuff, and because of that, they take on a lot of projects. So if you're looking for the more of a personalized touch, then they're probably not the right ones to go with. But if you're not entirely 100% sure of how to go about all of the online stuff, then they might be an interesting option. Another thing that we haven't talked about actually is, have you done any research into projects like yours and had a look at their path, like where did they go and what did they do and who wins?
Yeah, so I've done quite a lot of research on this, and what's really interesting is they've either become massive, i.e. What We Do in the Shadows, Mascots. Well, that was already going to be big because that was Christopher Guest, but we're such an odd genre. People either love it or they hate it, and it's either become The Office or it's gone nowhere. So the only ones I've found that have done distribution deals, for example, like What We Do in the Shadows, they've been picked up by, I think they were Universal, someone massive. So that's the problem. But they had history behind what they were doing. because of who created them. So the problem that I've come across is like I said, is that they've either become massive or they've just not gone anywhere, and they ended up, like you said, on Vimeo on demand. So I couldn't find that middle ground of going, okay, that seems like a small enough distribution company or sales agent that I could approach them directly and say, this is what we have. Because we are a little bit unique in the fact that I've never heard of a mockumentary rom-com. So it's kind of hard. It's either they fit into the horror genre, what we do in the shadows, or straight out comedy, which with Trailer Park Boys, or that type of genre. This weird middle ground thing that we've kind of created. We're not quite sure the world that it can live in. That's the problem that I think I've come across. It's a nice. I like having this problem. They're saying that we're unique, but on the flip side, I'm just not quite sure. I'm not sure which area to really kind of push on. Should we push on the comedy? Should we push on the romance side, the mockumentary?
Well, going back to like advertising through social media, this is kind of the power of it, because you can do very small individual campaigns targeted at specific groups of people with a specific message, and you can try out 30, you can try out 40 based on different messages, different ideas. Perhaps you show clips, perhaps you try and engage people with the story, perhaps you try and make people think it's a real story. And then I'm just coming up with loads of ideas, but and you can pay 10 quid, 20 quid, 50 quid per small campaign, see which one gets traction, and then really push it. So if you have skills in that, then that's an interesting way to go. And if you don't have the skills in that, then you can learn them, or you can talk to your producer and talk around, find somebody that can do that kind of thing, because there is a lot of power there for you to control it yourself, basically.
Okay, so just a quick question on the social media. With that, is that specifically so that we can get sales agents involved or interested, or is that more just a general?
No, that would be
creative?
building audiences. Right. So you can build audience. You can build a list of 40,000 people that have expressed an interest in your film, and then release it on Amazon and say, here you go. And then if it's a numbers game, if you get 40,000 people interested in it, and you expect 3% of them to actually pay for it, then if you're targeting the right audience with putting the right amount of money in, so you get the lowest possible, cost per lead, if you like, and then you, with the right message, and then you, once you release it to them and engage with them through email and that kind of thing. And then if you get, say, 1%, 2%, 3% actually buy it, then you can start to kind of figure this stuff out, and then what price do you need to sell it at, and then how much money do you want to make from it, and then how long is it going to last, and that kind of thing. So there is a lot of power there, and it's very interesting, I think, for this kind of project.
I think that there's something that needs to be done on your side, Jay. I think that you've got to get sorted out with regards to analysis. I think. Do you know of 3, not similar films, but 3 films that are of a similar production quality and of a similar kind of targeted audience potentially that currently sit on the internet? And if you don't, could you potentially try and find some and then see what your process was of finding them? So you want to figure out what was the first entry? So what was the gate that opened first for you to go on there? Did you find an ad on Facebook? Did you see something on Instagram? Did you just go on Vimeo and browse on Vimeo, or did you go on iTunes and browse on iTunes? And then find 3 similar films that don't have a lead actor, a lead celebrity actor, that are plucky British humor with a really good sentiment and kind of drawing on different themes, just stuff like that, and then just kind of analyze them, have a look at people that are talking about them online, follow the hashtags that people are creating about them, and just see what's working for them, and see who their distributor are, who the distributors were, who their sales agent were, and just see for yourself what's what. A really good, really good article to read would be the one from Stephen Follows, which is about the self-distribution. You know Stephen Follows?
Yeah. I had him at the Met. I actually had an hour conversation about distribution with him.
Okay, great.
Yeah, he's a really good guy. Honestly, we actually thanked him at the end of the film because he helped me so much in trying to understand the distribution side. I should probably go and listen to the Skype conversation again because he did give me some good kind of tidbits to kind of mull on. But yes, go ahead.
I'm going to share with you the link to this amazing article on his website about the Greek film Papadopoulos and Sons. It's
right. Okay.
Absolutely excellent. I've just shared with you a link for the film that we helped distribute that's now on Amazon, which is called The Trade, that Indie Rights did. So you can have a look at that and see what that's all about. But definitely, can you see the chat section on the right-hand side? It's got James Bradley, and I've said Stephen Follows link, full cost and income of a 1 million independent feature film. The income section is what you need to be looking at.
Right, I see.
Of that blog where he talks about it. In chat, if you press the three little white dots on the right-hand side, that'll open up your blue section. And then if you click on the underneath the wheel, there's the little chat bubble.
Signal wheel. I see. Yes.
Yes.
I see. Perfect.
So this is the film we helped distribute onto Amazon. That's the one with the trade. You'll see our logo at the beginning. No ego, I promise. And then on the Stephen Follows one, which I think is really important, and anyone that's interested in getting their film distributed should read that. That will definitely give you a clear understanding of the challenges that are ahead, but also the great potential that there could be from running intelligent social media marketing campaigns that deliver, like Ben was saying.
So if you don't mind me asking, if I may be so bold, would there in any way, would it be something, this film would be something that you'd be interested in taking on and kind of fostering or
do you know what? James and I were talking about this just before we started, and the problem that we have at the moment is, yes, we absolutely have the skills and the ability to do it, but it's the short answer. Short answer is no, because we're so busy with stuff that we're doing. But it's a real pain because this is potentially something that we'll be looking to do in like 5 years, perhaps, or something like that. Once things have settled down and things are starting to run, this could potentially be something that we do. But at the moment, it's just impossible. But I can send you some stuff about Facebook marketing and things like that.
Yeah,
please do. Any help will.
No problem. Yeah, we've done the help in distribution section before, where we've acted as a kind of producer's agent, I guess, helping people get
sure.
And we go to the film markets with films that we believe have got market potential. So there's no reason why we can't, if we go to Cannes this year, which we're planning on doing so, there's no reason why, if you haven't got anything set up at that stage, we can introduce that sales agents. That's something that we do as a film festival anyway.
Right, that's amazing. That's amazing. Yeah.
There won't be any, 100% we'll talk to all our friends and see what they say. But that's May. So I guess between then and now, I think that the best thing for you to do really is to just kind of look at as much of this as possible, absorb as much of the Stephen Follows article as you can on that. Have a look at other similar films that have gone on and done well, either on Vimeo or on Amazon or on YouTube Red or anywhere like that, and just try and like find what you can get. Netflix is pretty much impenetrable by what I can understand. It's impossible to get into it.
Right.
I say impossible. It's not. Nothing's impossible, but your energy might be better spent elsewhere because there are audiences elsewhere. But there's no harm in finding out stuff. I mean, who knows? You could totally get on Netflix. But at the end of the day, I think it's if you gear towards as much research into the sort of self-distribution route as possible, that will only give you the big talk, I guess. it will give you the knowledge is power scenario, right? When you then start doing sales agents, you can be like, well, I know I can get this onto airlines, for example. I know I can get this in Lufthansa. Lufthansa will buy this. I know that if I dub it in North Korean, I can get it released in North Korea. I know that if I can do this, I can do this. Like there's several different things that you can learn that will then enable you to be far more buyable when you finally have the conversations with the people that will be interested in selling your work on behalf of you.
Absolutely. Yeah. One last question, actually, just then I'll let you guys go. I was doing a little bit of research about self-distribution. Specifically, I think this works more in the American market than it does here. And what one of these guys was saying, and he managed to get distribution because he took his film, and it was very low budget indie film, and he took it directly to these, what they call mom and pop theaters in America. And he would actually, I guess, sell it to them directly. So he would become he would literally go to each one. I don't know if he did it physically or he was doing it over the phone or online. And then I guess he either sell it or say, you can show this film for very little money and give me like 10% of whatever you make, and you make the rest. Have you heard of this before?
Yeah, this is kind of what we're talking about, really. It's kind of Ourscreen really is kind of self-distribution, because you have to build the audience. Right. And if you build the audience through advertising on social media or wherever, but social media is an easy one because you can target the groups of people in the different areas, and then you can push them towards the Ourscreen and get them to register for the screenings. And then if you have a couple of screenings around the country, and at the same time you're releasing a digital VOD on all of the digital platforms, and you've got a list, that is self-distribution. You are advertising it, you're pushing it towards the theaters and the platforms, and you are letting your audience know about that as well. So then they're going out and buying. And that's the interesting thing is that you then keep all the money yourself, right? So you don't have to shoot for the huge numbers, because no one else is taking a slice of it. But there are other options. There are other potentials that I've heard about, like exactly like you're talking about, where people talk to individual cinemas themselves. And I mean, you could hire the Curzon for a week and put it on at the Curzon if you like. But it's up to you to bring the audience to it. So yeah, there's lots of different options, but yeah, good luck.
Thank you. No, cheers, guys. No, it's really, really helpful.
There's a lovely moment in this Stephen Follows article that's quite interesting, where it talks about securing a UK cinema release, and it just said by this point the film had a German, Greek, and airline deal, but was still lacking a UK distributor. Marcus is not someone who gives up easily, so he turned to self-distribution. Via Miracle Communications, Marcus struck a deal with Cineworld Cinemas, which placed the film in 13 screens for a week. Marcus identified...
Wow,
so this is where it gets really important. Marcus identified Greek communities throughout the UK by looking for Greek Orthodox churches. If there was a church, he'd target the local community using a variety of off and online media. I guarantee he used Facebook local targeting to find Greek people in that area. But there is definitely legs with this, I think. And with the self-distribution stuff, read that article with a fine-tooth comb, and yeah, let's reconnect again, and let's see where we're at in like a month's time or something.
Absolutely. No, guys, this has been invaluable. Thank you so much. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to do this.
No problem. I'm going back to paint a wall that I've completely plugged out. All right. Nice one,
well, cheers, guys. Thank you.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Take care.
Cheers, guys.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.